Hello, Jacksonites, and welcome to a new ranking video. Um, I think I've established on my channel that I tend to stick to reviewing and discussing horror movies, sci-fi movies, action films, and monster movies. Now, a lot of those genres can blend together. But yeah, that's generally my comfort zone is those four different types of films. But that doesn't mean that those four genres of movies are the only genres of movies I'm interested in. You can probably tell I have the Lord of the Rings movies right here, for example. And superhero movies too. I like those. But I don't just stick in that box when it comes to films. I have a wide variety of stuff that I am interested in. I like tokusatsu stuff. I like standard 80s action movies, and then there's like, these, for example, the G.I. Joe movies, which I've only seen one. Of course, I like monster movies, and I like a whole giant plethora of different monster movies. But I also like some comedies. I like fantasy. I love the Harry Potter franchise, for example. And I also like me some animated movies as well. I don't have that many animated movies, but I have, a couple Disney movies like the original Peter Pan, Iron Giant, Ice Age, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, Ants, the Kung Fu Panda trilogy. But there's one animated franchise that I hold very, 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 very near and dear to myself. And that is, of course, the Land Before Time franchise. I have a shit ton of nostalgia for this franchise. I grew up with these films starting when I was around 4 or 5 years old. My grandparents bought me quite a few Land Before Time movies growing up. And there was a period of time where I completely forgot about Land Before Time. It was around when I was 13 up until I was around 18 or 19 when I just completely forgot about Land Before Time. But when I was around 20 or 21, I rediscovered the Land Before Time franchise. It was actually around Jurassic World, which we'll talk about that a little later in this list. But it was around when Jurassic World was coming out when I rediscovered, around 18, when I rediscovered Land Before Time. But I didn't really get back into the franchise until a couple of years after that, when I bought a 5-pack on DVD of Land Before Time 1, 2, 3, 8, and 9. Random numbers, but whatever. But yes, I am a pretty avid Land Before Time fan. There's fucking 14 of these movies. Many I have seen, and many I remember from my childhood. But until recently, there was also many of them that I had never seen, including some of the original 6 movies that I'd never seen. So, leading up to the birth of my son, I decided that I wanted to buy the complete Land Before Time collection. And it was for me, but also for him, but mostly for me, because at that moment, I was actually really curious about checking out the rest of the series, because like I said, until recently, I hadn't seen the whole series. And I will give credit as well to a YouTuber named Razorblade Reviews, which his entire retrospective on the entire Land Before Time franchise are probably his best videos. But, and no offense to him, but they're also really painfully biased, because he's one of those fans that says, oh, nothing beats the original, which I highly disagree with, especially in this franchise's example. But his videos inspire me to check out the rest of the series. And early this morning, actually, which will date this video, I finally powered through the rest of the 7 Land Before Time movies that I had never seen. So now I've seen the whole franchise, minus the short-lived animated TV series, which was released after the 13th movie. I am aware that a majority of the franchise is on, or of that series is on YouTube, but I think I've had enough of this franchise. So maybe I'll watch it, and maybe I'll do like a re-ranking video a few years down the line, especially when I watch a lot of these with my son. But currently, right now, I'm just going to rank all 14 Land Before Time movies from worst to best. So, oh boy, this should be fun. And also, this might not be a super long video because a lot of these movies, because I've only seen them once, I don't have that much to say about them. But I just thought this would be a lot of fun to do. So, well, wait. First off, a word from our sponsor. And with all that being said, let's jump in to ranking the Land Before Time franchise. And coming in at number 14, the very bottom of the barrel. This was the only one that I actually, well, no, one of 2 or 3 actually, that I really, really struggled to get through. But this was the worst of all. At number 14, we have Land Before Time Part 11, Invasion of the Tiny Sauruses. Rolls right off your tongue. This one I really, really, really did not care for. I thought it was, because I saw the cast. Oh, that's much better. I saw the voice cast, and Michael Clark Duncan was involved. So I was like, ooh, maybe he'll voice a big badass dinosaur. Nope, he's the leader of the tiny, yay big, long neck dinosaurs. And I will be using terminology from the Land Before Time series in this video. Long necks are sauropods, for example. But yeah, he's the leader of these tiny sauropods. And he's also very underutilized. He has maybe 5 to 10 minutes worth of dialogue, which I will say, some of these Land Before Time movies are bad, and thankfully they're short. But why did this one have to be one of the longest of the series? I don't know. But yeah, I really did not care for this one. It was boring. It was dull. It was annoying. It was pointless. It was cringy. And this felt just like, I feel like they just had a quota to make with this one. Oh, we got to have another, because this is part 11, another Land Before Time movie. Let's not follow up on the awesomeness that is part 10 and just give you the most basic, bare bones Land Before Time sequel possible. But we got to have a gimmick. Tiny dinosaurs. Great. And also, there's barely any carnivorous dinosaur action, or sharp teeth as they're called. There's barely any sharp teeth action in this movie. They wait until the very, very, very hour and 10-minute point in the film, and it's just 2 velociraptors. Like, whoop-de-fucking-do. The entire Great Valley has taken on 2 or 3 T-Rexes, or no, yeah, 3 T-Rexes in the previous movie, and a whole slew of velociraptors, and they just thought having 2 velociraptors would be an interesting antagonistic threat. Nah, it wasn't. Yeah, Invasion of the Tiny Sauruses, this one I really struggled to sit through. I found it just really annoying. But most of all, I just found it very boring. And as I've said before, if a movie's boring, that's the biggest sin that it can commit. So, yeah, this one is definitely the worst. Coming in at number 13, ironically, is Land Before Time 13, The Wisdom of Friends. I didn't really like this one because this one doubled down on being annoying. The two gimmick characters, Lufa and Doofa, one being played by Cuba Gooding Jr., are the most annoying characters in the entire Land Before Time franchise. Holy shit. I guess they were trying to play up on the fact that these guys are just dumbasses is funny. It's not funny. It's annoying. And it also kind of sucks too because this one introduces a quartet of sharp teeth as antagonists, but they don't really do anything with them. The leader has like a badass scarred face, and each time that they're encountered, they just run around for a couple of minutes. The dinosaurs like dodge their legs and dodge under them to get out of their way, and both times the dinosaurs are just buried in rocks after about 3 or 4 minutes. Shame. Not really much to say about this one, other than this one was definitely the most annoying of the franchise. It did have a couple okay songs, which that's another thing about Tiny Source is all of its songs were terrible. But this one had a one or two okay songs in it, and there was like one or two funny moments. But overall, yeah, and it was nice to see Littlefoot actually show his potential of being a leader. But yeah, this one I just really didn't care for, and I can see why this was the last Land Before Time movie for a very, very, very long time. Because I think at this point, the franchise definitely had run out of steam and needed a break. Because I think they had one Land Before Time movie from part 2 all the way up to this. And this was 2007 at this point. So, yeah. Coming in at number 12. Ooh, wrong one. Is Land Before Time 4 Journey Through the Mists. This was one of few from the original pre-Part 10 era that I'd never seen. When I was a kid living at my grandparents', I had 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, and 10. These are the Land Before Time movies that I grew up with. And for some reason, I had just never seen Part 4. And now that I have seen it, even as a kid, I could know for a fact I wouldn't have liked this one. It's very dull. It's very lackluster. I can see that they were trying to breathe some new life into this one. And I can also see that they might have been toying around with the concept of this being the last one. And then they give us 10 more after this. But it lacks a good villain. God, the two villains in this movie are annoying as shit. The two villains in this movie being a Deinosuchus, which is pretty much an ancient giant, like 50 to 60 foot long crocodile, and an annoying talking bird. And this is one of few Land Before Time movies where the antagonistic dinosaurs actually speak, but they're annoying. That's the problem. And it has a very forced, very contrived plot. It also kind of meanders in a lot of this movie's plot. It also introduces the idea of Littlefoot being able to interact with other younger longnecks, but in the character of Allie, she's so bland and boring, and they don't do anything with her for the rest of the franchise until the damn TV series, where she appears in only one episode. So I can see that didn't work. Overall, this one is just the most, or one of the most meh installments of the franchise. I don't have that much to say about it. But again, had I seen this one as a kid, this probably would have been the one that I would have skipped. unless I was in a huge mood for these movies. But yeah, Journey Through the Mists, not that great. Coming in at number 11 is Part 6, Secret of Soros Rock. This was another gimmicky one, and this one wasn't bad, but this one, in my opinion, is the most bland. Despite it having the gimmick of Soros Rock, and also probably my favorite celebrity cameo in the entire franchise being Chris Christopherson voicing the giant Diplodocus Doc. But yeah, this one I just felt absolutely nothing towards. I watched it, and after it was over, I just said that left absolutely no impression on me whatsoever. Excuse me. That's all I have to say about it. A lot of these movies, not a lot, but quite a few of these movies, I'm just not going to have that much to say about. And as I've stated with Secret of Soros Rock, I have the least to say about that. So, Secret of Soros Rock, it's not bad. Although I will also say, I think this is definitely when the original style of animation was really starting to wear out its welcome. And it was starting to show signs of wear and tear in need of having a new design or new style of animation be used for these movies. Not nearly as much as number 10 on this, which is part 7, Stone of Cold Fire. This one was a little entertaining. It had somewhat of a decent villain in Petrie, the Flyers' Uncle Tyranno. He's not really a villain per se. He's just a really misguided kind of a douchebag. But I thought this one was decent. I like even though Littlefoot is my favorite character, I will say that having so many Land Before Time movies be focused on Littlefoot gets a bit stale. So it's nice that some other members of the cast get some focus. And this is the first one to stray from Littlefoot, at least to my knowledge. So it's nice to see Petrie, because he was actually another one of my favorite characters, to get some focus. And I do like the adventure. I like a couple of the songs. The end twist of having 2 dinosaurs actually be aliens, I thought was kind of stupid. But then again, this being 14 films long, I figured eventually one of them would have some inclusion of aliens, and it just so happened to be the halfway point in this series. And they save it to the very, very, very end, and it kind of does leave you with a bit of a mystical, hopeful feel. But overall, Stone of Cold Fire, it's just all right. This is when this franchise stopped being bad, in my opinion, at least as far as I'm concerned. But this also easily has the weakest hand-drawn animation in the classic Don Bluth style of the whole series. And this is definitely when you can tell the animators had a lowish budget for this style of animation, because my God, does the animation look very cheap and just it looks made for TV. It doesn't even look direct to video. So yeah, the animation definitely needed work. And it showed enough signs for the series to be retooled somewhat. But yeah, Stone of Cold Fire, it's okay. Coming in at number 9 is Land Before Time 12, Great Day of the Flyers. This one suffers from a few of the same problems as Invasion of the Tiny Sauruses. But of the post 10, no, that's not it. But this was one of the better ones in the post 10 era of Land Before Time. The main one that I took away from this one is, once again, there's more focus on Petrie, which is good for me because I like Petrie. It had a couple decent songs in it too that were actually kind of catchy and also funny. And that's the main thing I took away from this one. This one made me laugh a few times. So, and I have a soft spot for films that make me laugh, and especially with this one being kid friendly as all living shit. If there was a couple moments in this that legitimately made me laugh, I'm willing to let some stuff slide. So that's the main one with Great Day of the Flyers. It was a little funny. So I kind of enjoyed this one, especially coming off of Invasion of the Tiny Sauruses. I was like, okay, yeah, I see what this one's doing. Coming in at number 8. Now we're in very familiar territory for me because from here on out, these are all Land Before Time movies that well, except for one, these are all Land Before Time movies that I do like to varying levels of degrees. And with the exception of one, these are also ones I grew up with. But we're going to start off with a very controversial one, being the original Land Before Time, coming in at number 8. It's not a bad movie. It's just not that well handled. The biggest and honestly sole problem with the original Land Before Time is it's really missing that extra 10 to 15 minutes of footage. It kind of feels like Son of Kong in that way. Ironically, too, it's an hour and 9 minutes long, just like the original Son of Kong. Don Bluth originally wanted this movie to be a lot darker, but Universal, showing signs of becoming a giant pussy, decided to force Don Bluth to snip out 10 to 15 minutes of footage and just throw this movie into theaters because they were afraid that this movie would scar children. Children are very coddled and protected nowadays, even back then. And in my opinion, it really, really, really shows, and it hurts the movie as a result. Every time I watch this movie, I always feel like there's something missing. Even when I was young and I didn't know that it was supposed to be longer, this movie didn't feel complete to me. I still enjoyed it as a young one, but in my opinion, and there's so many people that just hail the original Land Before Time as being the best in the franchise, I strongly disagree. I think it's a good foundation and a very good blueprint, but that's exactly what it is. It's the bare basics of showing what this franchise could have been. It is still enjoyable. It's got some good moments of peril. It does still have whatever darker moments it has left, and they're still effective. The scene when Littlefoot's mom dies is pretty heartbreaking. And of course, it has great music and an entertaining final battle. But just overall, the original Land Before Time is definitely my least favorite of the ones that I grew up with. And is the one that I rewatched the least. But ironically, I never had an issue with rewatching it because I always got the one that I liked the least out of the way so I could move on to the rest of the series that I liked way more. Not saying much, though, when it comes to part 7, being Land Before Time 9, Journey to Big Water. I actually remember being alive when the hype for this one was quite strong. Like, I would see trailers for it all over Universal VHS tapes at the time. And it got me really excited because, minor brief spoiler, it had that connection to Big Water. And I remember that being from Land Before Time 5, The Mysterious Island. So that got me intrigued. So I was wondering, are they going back to familiar territory and they're exploring stuff more? I watched the movie, and yes, but also no. Now, as a young one, I really, really enjoyed this one, but, I was a kid, so I was, you could literally throw on a shitty Gamera movie and I would have enjoyed it. But the last time that I watched this one, I definitely noticed a lot of things that really made me scratch my head as to how I enjoyed it as a kid. It has moments when it's really fun, and I love the sharp tooth that they have for this one. Yes, I am aware what happened to Judith Barzee, the original voice of Ducky. We're not going to discuss that at all. I love the sharp tooth that they have in part 9. It's being a Liopleurodon, even though I'm pretty sure this one takes place in these movies take place in the Cretaceous era of dinosaurs, and Liopleurodon were extinct at this point. But whatever. Yeah, the Liopleurodon being the sharp tooth for this film, I thought it was a breath of fresh air. And also, since this one does have to deal with water a lot, it's a good way to take advantage of its gimmick. Well, the animation from the original isn't bad. It's 1980s Don Bluth, so I just look at it that way. Though I don't think it's as strong as All Dogs Go to Heaven. So moving on. But the big issue with Journey to Big Water, it's kind of boring. She might have. If Judy Barzy was still alive, Steven Spielberg would have cast her as Lex in Jurassic Park. That's an interesting theory. But we'll never know. But yeah, the main issue with Land Before Time 9 is that it's boring. It feels like a filler episode to a TV series, which I actually think an interesting concept of retooling this franchise is in editing all of these movies down into episodes of a TV series and also including that with the actual Land Before Time TV series. I think that would be a much better package because it would chop out all the filler. And you easily could edit part 9 into a half-hour long episode of a TV series. It's that fillery. Though it does have a couple good songs. It's got some good moments of peril. That's part 5. That sounds like part 5. Yeah, so moving on. Part 9, it's just very fillery. It has some moments that are entertaining, but the last time I watched this one, I could definitely see, ooh, yeah, this one ain't that great. Coming in at number 6 is Land Before Time 14, Journey of the Brave. Despite the incredibly generic title, and the fact I would not be the least bit surprised when it comes to part 14. This was the first Land Before Time movie in 9 years. The part 13 came out in 2007. 14 came out in 2016. I have 2 and kind of 3 theories regarding part 14 as to why it was made. Either A, Universal wanted to hang on to the copyright so that the rights didn't go back to maybe like the Don Bluth estate. 2, because Jurassic World had come out the year before, there was renewed interest in dinosaurs, and Universal realized, oh, what's another dinosaur franchise we have? Land Before Time. Or the third one, it was both. I don't know. Probably never will know. I can just speculate. But this one actually surprised me. It was actually fairly enjoyable. Unlike parts 11 through 13, which just felt like soulless cash grabs, this one definitely felt like a cash grab too, especially considering, beforehand, or the year beforehand, Jurassic World came out. I do, though, feel like there was some heart thrown into this movie. Unfortunately, though, it's just a shame that it's been 5 years and we have not gotten another Land Before Time film, which sucks because I actually think this one breathed new life into the series. It felt more like classic Land Before Time. There wasn't much of a gimmick. There was no annoying character. Well, Wild Arms was annoying, but he's not in the film very much, so that's good. Um, there are some all right songs. The animation looks great, and there's some actual decent um, sharp teeth action because there's technically three dinosaurs. There's three sharp teeth in this film. One being a Carnotaurus, which definitely felt like it came right out of Jurassic Park. And there's two crested feathered T-Rexes in this. Don't like the feathers, but I like the variety of carnivorous dinosaurs in this film. And I also like the return of Littlefoot's dad, Braun. More on him later, but I just dug this one. I thought it was pretty entertaining. Yeah, it definitely feels like a cash grab, but it was an entertaining one. So yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised by Land Before Time 14. Again, it's just a shame that we haven't gotten another one since then. Top 5 territory. Coming in at number 5 is Land Before Time 3, The Time of the Great Giving. I heard some people just call this the Land Before Time Thanksgiving special, which they might be kind of right, but I like this one a lot because it's a very bittersweet one. This one isn't overly joyous and kid-friendly and happy by the end. The characters actually go through some shit, and at the end of the movie, their situation isn't fixed, but they'd figured out a way to make their situation better, being a drought, lack of food, and lack of water. But they'd figured out the lack of water issue, so you definitely felt like, okay, they're just going to have to really low-key kind of suffer for a little bit before the valley heals itself and they can go back to their normal lives. There's also some really good anti-bullying stuff that's showcased in this movie. It's kind of shoved down your throat, the don't be a bully stuff, but it has some good messages that kids can learn and take something away from. Also, really good music, good animation. And at this point, had they used another T-Rex, I think it would have gotten a little stale. So the sharp teeth being a pack of velociraptors, I think was cool. And also having a good chunk of all the adult characters be here to fight off the sharp teeth was also fun to watch. So yeah, part 3 is a lot of fun, and it's definitely one of the best sequels. Oddly, though, as a kid, I didn't love this one nearly as much. But as an adult, it really grew on me. And it was partially thanks to Razorblade for that, because he made me realize, yeah, this one is a bit bittersweet and is a bit more in tone with the original Land Before Time film. The good parts of it, anyway. Coming in at number 4 is Land Before Time 2, The Great Valley Adventure. The first sequel, and was one that I always enjoyed watching. I love the animation style for this one. It is direct to video, but I definitely feel like they smoothed out whatever animation issues they may have had in the original Land Before Time. And I just like the palette that they use for this movie. Also, great world building. Fun songs. Great third act with the two T-Rexes going on a rampage in the Great Valley. And also good interactions between Littlefoot and the character of Chomper. Not much to say about part 2 other than it's a really fun flick. It was always one of my favorites as a kid, and the last time I rewatched it, I still had a lot of fun. At number 3, we have Land Before Time 8, The Big Freeze. Definitely the most gimmicky of the series. Like, you know exactly what you're getting into. Land Before Time in the snow. But you know what? It's actually fun. It has a couple dark moments. Like, at first they realize, hey, this snow is fun. But then it's killing our food. What the hell are we going to do? Also probably has the best use of a celebrity cameo in the entire series. I don't know the actor's name, but he voiced Rafiki in at least I think that's his name, in The Lion King. And he plays one of my favorite characters in the entire Land Before Time franchise, being Mr. Thicknose. more really good moments of sharp tooth action. It's just a T-Rex, but the snow gives it a fun edge. Also got a couple really good songs. And just overall, Land Before Time 8, it's just a really fun time. Similar to part 3, some people have called the Big Freeze the Land Before Time Christmas special. I don't think that's a bad thing, though, because I think it's fun. Coming in at number 2 is The Land Before Time 5, The Mysterious Island. Extremely short and simple runtime aside, I love this one. This was always my favorite as a kid. Because I love the ocean setting. I love the mysterious island setting. I like the continuity with the series because it reintroduces Chomper. Chomper Talks, has the callbacks to the second film, and has, again, 4 sharp teeth in this one. A shark, a Giganotosaurus, and Chomper's parents being 2 T-Rexes. So you definitely got plenty of sharp teeth action in this film. And also, the most no, not my favorite, but some of my favorite songs in the whole series. And the last time I watched this one, which was a couple weeks ago, and it's had nothing but needles of nostalgia being injected into my brain. So yeah, Mysterious Island, I really like this one. But not nearly as much as my number 1 favorite, Land Before Time 10, The Great Long Neck Migration. As a kid, I really, really, really liked this one. But the last time that I rewatched it was right after my son was born. And because this one is also very Littlefoot heavy, and Littlefoot reunites with his father, it kind of tugged at my heartstrings, if I'm being honest. And the song that Littlefoot sings, he's pretty much saying it's nice to have a dad you can have fun with. Not gonna lie, it actually had me ending up bawling my eyes out. Also, aside from the emotional dad stuff, it's got some really good sharp teeth action with 3 sauropods going up against 3 T-Rexes. And also a literally explosive ending with all the long necks apparently having to save the Great Circle or the sun, but they're just witnessing a solar eclipse. I just really love this one. This is easily my favorite of the whole series. It has new meaning for me, especially now that I'm a dad. It has the best songs, the best animation, the best dinosaur action. Overall, I just think this is the best one of the whole series. So yeah. With all that being said, thank you very much for watching. Post your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. Share this video with your friends. This video was fun to do. Comment down below, what's your favorite Land Before Time movie? And also, what's your least favorite? And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. And if you're going to watch some Land Before Time movies, tread carefully, because that's a long franchise.